back to another great episode of Just Be You podcast. It's that time again. We're talking about self-development, and I'm joined here today with a great guest that I've met along the way. She has so much, wisdom and knowledge to impart, and she's just so much fun. And we're going to hear from a strengths coach today named Irma. She's my people. That's all I can really say. Everyone that I've met so far are my people, and I just can't wait for you guys to learn so much from today's episode and take what we talk about and just use it as an extra tool in your kit, because after all, this is what Just Be You is all about. So we're going to get right into it. And how are you doing this morning, Irma? She's joining us from sunny California, y'all.
Except it's cloudy today. Can you believe it? It's amazing. Yesterday I woke up, it was raining, and I was like, wait a minute, on the weekend it was like 85 degrees and hot. And then in the morning, cold. My air conditioner in my car was still full blast from the day before. It was like, what? Talk about a wake-up call, at 8 o'clock in the morning with the air full blast in your face. It was like, what? This is like, hysterical. The weather was just backwards.
I mean, hey, in that case, you swapped out your coffee for a fresh, blast of cold air. Welcome to the East Coast. You haven't been.
Yeah, that's right? Polar opposites. It's just really crazy. So how are you this morning?
I'm doing pretty well. It's sunny, it's good, the weather is good, and I'm just like really excited to talk to you. We've been trying to get together for a couple of weeks, but when life happens, you just kind of go along with the ebbs and flows, and I believe in timing, so I just feel like today's the perfect time to just have a great conversation and help as many people, as we can. So I'm pumped, I'm feeling great, and just having a good time.
That's awesome. And that's life, right? That's all of us. That's you, me, your viewers, your subscribers, everybody. We have those moments in time, right? And what really grounds us is the fact that we know what our talents and strengths are. And that's why I love having conversations about that topic, because it really reinforces who we are in those moments when things ebb, and we're like, oh, whoa, wait, what happened to me right there, and then we realize, oh, wait a minute, I have something in my toolbox that I can use to jump over that problem, go around it, solve it, obliterate it, right? Yeah. And it's like, okay, I got this. Let's move forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what exactly is a strengths finder coach? What does that really mean?
It is a certification, right? It's a certification through Gallup Clifton organization, and yet it's not just a piece of paper. It's like when you go to college and you say, oh, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to get this degree.
Yeah.
And then you get the degree and you're like, okay, but what does this actually mean, right? How do I use this degree?
Yeah.
And so it just depends how you use that information. For me, what it's been able to do for me and for those people that I work with, it's really giving them a roadmap, not just of how to proceed with what they're going through in life, but how to claim who they are and stand up and claim it and then aim it and be able to communicate it. Because I might know who I am, but if I can't communicate that to you, then what purpose does it serve, right?
Sure.
So we have to be able to not just claim it and say, yeah, that's who I am. I'm proud about it. I know my strengths. I know my talents, and I can do X, Y, and Z. And in addition to that, I can share that information with you effectively so that you don't misunderstand me or misunderstand why I'm doing something. So you're not telling yourself stories in your head about, oh, well, she thinks she's all that. Oh, why is she so, demanding? Why is she so, blunt? Why is she, me, and that that's not something that I'm shooting at you about.
Yeah.
It's me expressing who I am.
Got it.
And when I communicate that, and I communicate it effectively, what I'm also saying is, you have permission to tell me when I'm going too far. So that I am entrusting you with some authority, right?
Yeah.
So you can say, wow, that was really too much.
Gotcha.
You're on that too much too long. You're overusing that talent. What's going on? There's no balance.
Got it.
And that's beautiful. I have a business partner that will say, remember, you were supposed to communicate that to me, because my automatic is to just go do it.
Yeah.
And then share it later. Oh yeah, by the way, oh, didn't I have a say-so in that? We're business partners. Oh yeah. I just, my go-to is to go do.
Yeah.
So when he says, remember, you're supposed to share that with me ahead of time so I can have some input. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So I feel like it also serves as kind of like its own like accountability partner-ish, or at least in that realm of things.
It can, yeah. And that's important, because if we're overusing our talents and strengths, then we come off in ways that we don't realize, and we don't want to be. Like, I'm not going around trying to be bossy.
Yeah.
I'm not going around trying to be hiding in the corner.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to not communicate with people. So it's really exposing yourself, right? You have to have the confidence in yourself to expose who you really are and love who you really are.
Yeah. And kind of be vulnerable at it also. And it's just like, oh, okay, this is just my thing or my jam or whatever, element you're in. So it's a common thing to be like, I know it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I know sometimes it makes me uncomfortable, but it's like, well, this is just who I am, folks.
Yeah.
Take it or leave
it. Yeah. And it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse to do, to use your talents for evil.
Right.
It's not an excuse to say, oh, well, you don't like it, that's who I am.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's about really understanding where you come from, because you're born with your talents. How they manifest in you is how you were born, not your environment. There's this old conversation about, whether it's innate, whether it's your environment, it's because they grew up in Jersey, in Southern California, she's a California girl, she's a Valley girl, whatever that stigma is. It's BS when it comes to your talents, because you were born with your talents. You were made in a specific way, and they come out whether you like it or not, and if you claim it or not, or if you share it or not. And I remember being really little, thinking that I had to be invisible in my family of 10 siblings. All of us, I'm number 11. Yeah, I'm number 11. And so I thought I had to be silent. I thought I had to be in the corner, and I didn't want anybody to notice me, because when they were finally noticed that I was actually in the room and turned and asked me a question, I couldn't answer in the moment because I have to think.
Gotcha.
I'm a person that has to really contemplate. I can't play blackjack, especially in Vegas or in Jersey City or in Atlantic City or anywhere else. Why? Because if you know blackjack, folks, you got to be quick, right?
Yeah.
Know your numbers. Decide quick. Come on, let's move it. I can't do that. I can't do that to this day. And it's not that I don't have ability. It's not my happy place. I don't have that talent of being able to do that. I'm a thinker.
Yeah.
I'm a learner. I'm strategic. I see things I see around corners, but only when I have all the information and details. And I'm like, okay, I can tell you, I can solve problems for you left and right. But I have to have the information, right? And I
Yeah.
have to think. When I was in college, so when I was little, let me go back. When I was little and they would ask me a question, I would be like, frozen. And then I would get the sibling comment of, oh, you're just a dumb kid, you know? So I was like, well, the less they see me, the less I'm going to be asked questions and the less I'm going to feel like a dumb kid. So I'll just disappear.
Okay. Okay. Because in an element like that, when I think of having so many siblings, I would think that you would want to be seen like, hey, I'm here. I know there's a bunch of us, but look at me. Like, don't
No.
forget about me, kind of a thing. So that's an interesting
Yeah. But because I
point.
couldn't perform the way they wanted me to, I would rather be not seen
Got it.
than
Okay.
feel stupid. Because at that point, I just felt stupid
Gotcha.
that I couldn't be quick or answer quickly or participate in that same way that they could. And they were a lot older. I mean,
Right.
my eldest brother was 22 when I was born.
Oh, wow. That's a
Yeah.
huge age gap.
Yeah.
That's like another
Yeah.
conversation. Like, how did you guys
Exactly.
what was that relationship like?
Exactly, right? So that's why when I say it's not how you grew up or what, I was always like that. They didn't do that to me.
Yeah.
That's just who I was. I just
Yeah.
didn't know that that's who I was. And I didn't know that it was okay. And I didn't know that I should claim it and say, yeah, that's who I am. And I can see around corners and I can solve problems and I can do this and I can do that. Can you? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
what can you do? What are
Yeah.
your talents and strengths?
So at what point did you realize that you could help or that you could spot other people's strengths and you found that to be your own strength?
I was doing it all along, not knowing that I was doing it until I was literally in my 40s.
Oh, wow.
Until I was in my 40s did I realize that there was this structure and this thing that was out there like StrengthsFinder that identified what it was, right? So when I took the assessment, when I first took the assessment, it was like my mother had written the reports on me. And I was like, how did this questionnaire see me? And other people didn't see me.
Right.
It was really weird. And so when I started to develop that, then I was like, oh, that's what I was doing then. That's how I was helping them. That's how, it was like,
Yeah.
wow.
It's like an epiphany.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so now that I know that college students are using StrengthsFinder assessment in their freshman year to guide them with their careers, with their degrees, and then taking it again when they're seniors to see how much they've grown, how much they've identified with their actual talents, it's amazing. The whole state of Rhode Island, the government, the whole state of Rhode Island uses StrengthsFinder as a cohesive government entity. The whole state, any agency, the state agencies, all use StrengthsFinder because they find it so impactful. The county of San Diego here in California, the whole county, whenever they're hiring somebody, it's not a hiring tool, but it's part of their hiring process that you have to be able to take the assessment, work in your talents and strengths, and really embrace the concept of StrengthsFinder. So it's a movement, and it's been around for a long time, but it's really, if you embrace it, all like 5 miles short of a cult, right? Not a cult. Let's not go there.
Yes.
But it's amazing to really say, wow, yeah, that's true about me. I claim it, I aim it, I communicate it. And then that way you're living in your talents and strengths and you're smiling more.
Yeah.
And you're standing up quicker.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. That's the amazing part for me.
No, I love that idea because I just learned about the strength finding assessments, and I initially thought it was more of like the personality test because I've taken a bunch of those for like jobs, and I'm sure everyone else has, but I just thought it was like a unique concept because the way I thought about it was, a lot of times, like just from, speaking to other individuals and just, your life experience, a lot of times people will point out things that you're good at, but sometimes it doesn't always sink in, or maybe it's not something you may take like seriously. And I'm like, oh, this is more tangible. Like you can see it. It gives you an outlet or a space to really connect with it and really see yourself in it. So I just thought that that was like really amazing. And you had when we initially spoke about it, you had mentioned how it could help like with office dynamic and the office, environment to make it more cohesive and a lot more enjoyable. So could you talk a little bit more about that? Because I thought that was genius, almost like.
It's really amazing how many people that work together that they don't know each other.
Yeah.
Right? And they still go through this. Why does she do this? Why does she do that? Why does he not do this? Why do they just, ignore this? Why are they always talking? Why, are they ever going to get any work done? We're always telling ourselves stories like it's our business to be controlling everybody, right? It's like, first of all, let's stop trying to control other people, okay?
Right.
From the get-go. Just stop trying to figure out why they came in late, why did they take their lunch late, why did they come in, we need to focus on what we do well.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to focus on the value that everybody else brings. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter what color you are, what size you are, how tall you are, how you identify, none of that matters because we all have our born with talent.
Yeah.
And we all bring something to the table. Right. And all of it is valuable. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's the appetizer, it doesn't matter if it's the main dish, it doesn't matter if it's the drink, it doesn't matter if it's the dessert, it's all good, right? Yeah. And we can partake of all of it and nourish ourselves. Yeah. From all of it. And do we take a lot of everything? Probably not. We take a little bit of everything, right? And we add our own mix to it. And the meal is delicious. And we have to learn that diversity, that, equity, that inclusion, it starts with the basic, you're a human who has talents that might be the same as mine on paper, but they manifest differently. And what I need, you might have. And can I tap into your talent? And let's go down that path together. And let's succeed together. And let's finish that project together. Because if we're all going in the same direction with the same values and the same concepts of we're all good, we're all great, we're all able, we all can accomplish together, then we're always stepping in line with each other. We're not facing each other. We're not turning each other, turning this way, that way. They're looking this way, they're looking that way. That's a learning curve for some people because they've never experienced that. But just as an example, in an office setting, if you have somebody who comes in and wants to ask you how your weekend was, wow, where did you get that outfit? Oh, did you get your hair done? And they can't get to their desk before they talk to 10 people. That's a relationship builder. That's their happy place. That's how they manifest their talents. Got it. And then after they have that, that cup of
relationship building, like, how you doing, that check-in?
Then they can go, it's their morning cup of coffee. If they can do that, then they can go to work and be happy doing the work that they're doing.
Yeah.
If somebody comes in and says good morning, goes to their office, and you never see them the rest of the day, that's a task-oriented person. Their happy place is doing things, not talking to people.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them any less than anybody else, and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
We're both valuable. And
Yeah.
we need both of those people in the workplace. Can you
Absolutely.
imagine? I mean, can you imagine a workplace with only relationship builders talking and talking and talking and probably not
Nothing will get done. Or if it did, it'd take a really long time to get it done.
or take a really long time, right? So you need a combination of those people, but you can't be attacking each other because of who you are.
Yeah. Or feel
Only
threatened by it
understanding
also.
or feel threatened, right? Or thinking, oh, they think they're better because they're in there working. No, that's
Yeah.
just that's what they need to do to be happy, just like you need to talk to people to be happy.
Yeah.
Right? So creating that next level of understanding for people is really important, especially in team dynamics.
Yeah. I almost feel like it's kind of like figuring out which pieces of the puzzle work together and will like connect so you can see the full picture. At least that's what was coming. That was the image that was coming into my mind as you were explaining that. So I thought that was really cool.
Definitely, we are all that, that piece of the puzzle. And, sometimes you're a piece of a landscape, and the next job or the next career or the next situation, you're a piece of the puzzle that's, that's a picture of, the moon.
Yeah.
It just depends what puzzle piece you are in that moment, but you have everything that you need with all your talents and strengths, because there are 32 talents identified at 34, I'm sorry. And you use your top 5 more than anything else, but that doesn't mean you don't have that combination, right?
Yeah.
Of talents that you use in different situations. And that's when the personality tests come in, because your personality, you might need to use a personality construct, right, in certain situations. If you have a job, or if you have work, or you're in school and you have to take a class, and it's like, wow, a class that you didn't really want to take, or a job that you don't really want to do, and all of a sudden you're asked to do something out of your comfort zone, you're like, oh wow, I can't do that. Well, you might not be comfortable doing it, but you have the armor, you have the tools, right? It's just, so your personality kicks in and you're like, okay, I'm going to pretend to be whatever I need to be in order to get this done, because I want the grade, I want the raise, I want the promotion, whatever it is. I want to make my boss happy. I'm going to kick into that personality and pull it up from my bootstraps, right?
Right.
And get it done. But that's not where your happy place is. It's not where you live.
Yeah. No, I get it. So let's say someone didn't want to, make the small investment, because there is a small investment, guys, to take the Clifton test. Let's say they didn't want to make that kind of investment. What are some things that could show up like on a day-to-day basis where someone could say like, oh, this is possibly like a strength of mine that I should like tap into? Are there things that kind of pop up?
Yeah, definitely. If you're the kind of person that has to think like me, you're probably strategic, right? That's one of the domains. So the domains categorize the talents in ways that you can see cohesiveness in the way that you are more often than not, right?
Okay.
The way that you deal with life, and what makes you who you are, and why you are the way you are. So strategic, executing, relationship builder, influencer. So are you the glue that holds the whole team together? Are you the person who wants everybody, you're the go-to person? You're the one that always decides what movie you guys are going to see, what restaurant you guys are going to go eat at. And it doesn't matter if anybody has an opinion. Ultimately, you're going to make the decision. That's because everybody wants you to decide. You're
Yeah.
the influencer, right? If you're the executor, you're the one that, let's go, let's do it. How, when somebody says, oh, we should go to we should go to Jersey Shores, on the weekend. And and if you're the executor, you're like, okay, what time, what day, when, how, when, and everybody's like, whoa, it was just an idea, and you're like, no, let's do it. You brought it up, let's do it. And you're ready to go, right?
Yeah.
you got, your bag is packed already.
Mhm.
And strategic thinkers, they're the ones that have to think. They're connectors. They like information. They like data. They like research. They want to read. They're all in their head. And then the relationship builders, they're the ones that they want everybody to be happy. Can you just be nice to everybody? Can you just say hello? Can you say goodbye? Can you do this? And everybody's like, hey, why do we have to do that? It's like, it's make everybody happy. They're empathetic. They see pain, they feel pain. Those are relationship builders, right? So if you're in a dynamic, if you've got a group of friends this weekend, coming up, whatever it is, right? Whatever the weekend is, if you're around a group of people, start to take notes about who's doing what, who's the talker, who's the activator, who's the executor, who's the one that everybody follows. But then even sometimes they don't want that person to know they're following them. But who do you look up and see what they're doing on the weekend on Instagram or on Facebook, or you're not necessarily best friends with them, but you're like, wow, what are they doing? They're an influencer, and not in the social media way, but in a way that is, that's what their happy place is. It's not that they bought into it. It's just who they are. It's just how they interact with life. Right. And people just naturally follow. So we're not talking about, million followers. We're talking about people that that you actually know.
Yeah.
That you just want to do. You just want to figure out what they're doing so you can go do it, because it's going to be hot.
Yes, absolutely. It's like, I want to have fun too. What are you doing? Like, get me in the know. I want to be in the know.
Yeah.
No, but since you had said that, I had actually caught myself like unconsciously like doing them. Like, oh, did you know you're really good at such and such and such? Or I seen you do like this thing and I thought that was really cool. Like, did you always know that about yourself? So I just thought that it was really funny that you had mentioned that, because I started doing that.
And it's really funny, because then you turn out to be like, no, then afterwards people are like, well, how do you know me? Like, you don't know me.
I'm like, you're right, I don't, but I just
I know you. I was like, I know you. And it's really funny, because I did a talk, and after the talk, two friends came up and they said thank you for the talk, and it was really cool and all that, and we were interacting. And then one of them says, oh, I'm an executor, I'm this, and when you were talking about this and blah blah blah, and I thought that was really cool. And then she says to her friend, she says, and I think you're a strategic person. And she goes, no, she says, I think you're a relationship builder. And her friend said, actually, I identified more with the strategic thinker. And she goes, really? Why? And they had this conversation with each other in front of me. And the strategic thinker, I self-identified strategic thinker, said, well, because really I'm introverted, and I like to think, I like to read, I like to be alone. And the other girl says, really? I thought you were, because at work, blah, blah, blah. And so then I said, oh, that's her personality at work, right? Because she probably has a customer service job. She probably interacts with da, 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 da. So it was almost like I did a tarot card reading on her. It's really funny. And the other girl goes, yeah, that's right. You're right. That's why. And then I said, so your actual happy place is after work, when you get to go home and sit in a corner and read a book and drink a cup of coffee or tea or whatever, lemonade, and just relax and enjoy your alone time.
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, that's right. And the other girl goes, how do you know more about her? She's been my friend for like 10 years.
Well, sometimes you just gotta sit and like observe people, because I feel like I'm a thinker, I'm an observer, and then I'm just kind of like, as you were saying, like building relationships all at the same time. And people were just like, well, how does that work in tandem? I'm like, I don't know. It just kind of does. And people are also quite surprised that as outgoing as I am, how I also like to take time for myself, and I can have those quiet moments where I was like, no, I need to recollect myself so I can
Yeah,
feel good, so that I can show up and be fun and encouraging and all those other
right.
good things. So
Right. Yeah. And, one of the other things that people probably don't really think about is that some people are both left and right brain.
mm,
And there is typically one side of the brain that dominates, right? And they
mm,
say that if you're right-handed, your left brain is more dominant, or vice versa. Well, I'm ambidextrous, so I can write with my left hand. And I used to practice it more. I don't anymore, but I'm still both left and right brain. So I have this, both masculine and feminine way of thinking, because I'm like, let's go, let's do it,
yeah.
and at the same time, I'm like a crier, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, the emotion, and it's like, well, how do you balance that, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can't be neurotic about it. You just pull up what you need when you need it.
Yeah.
And you don't judge yourself, and you don't judge other people about it either.
Yeah. I think that is a big hiccup. People just don't, or I guess have a hard time accepting that this is just what a person needed to do for that specific situation. And they kind of turn it as, or it then becomes, the overall person is like, no, it's like when you went to that store, you only had X amount of things to choose from. And that's what you chose for that time being. And it got you through. And just kind of coming to that understanding that, we ebb and flow through life, and you got to do
Yeah,
things sometimes, whether you like it or not, just to overcome that situation.
right. Yeah.
So I love
And
that.
and
So do you
it's
think everyone should take a strengths finders test?
it could serve it. What you have to do when you take it is you have to answer questions honestly, number one, right?
Mm,
And you have to do it without thinking. It's really hard. You have to take the test with your heart. So
mm,
you need to read the words and react, not think. So when you're taking the LSAT for law school, you got to think,
yeah.
right? When you're trying to get into grad school and you're taking an exam, you got to think. Don't be
Yeah.
going with your heart, don't be going with your touchy feely part. You got to
Yeah.
think, you got to know the knowledge, right? But this is the opposite. So when it's the opposite, people are like, I don't want to feel. I don't know what I feel. I don't know
Yeah.
how to feel. So you have
Interesting.
to you have to really feel so that you get the real answer. And one of the ways that I ask people to do that ahead of time is to close their eyes and think of a time that made them really laugh or made them really happy. And it doesn't matter how far back you have to go.
Right.
That feeling that you get when you close your eyes and you think of this time or situation, that's what you need to feel when you answer the question.
And why is that? Like, what is?
Because that's the most natural.
Uh,
And the younger you can go with something, the better, because the more innocent you are at that time in life,
mm,
the less influenced you are with what people think about you, what your family is telling you, whether you're the youngest, the oldest, the middle child, doesn't matter. All of that is crap.
yeah. Wow,
Sorry.
that's amazing. I'm just learning. I mean, I've kind of always known it, but just I don't know, just becoming more prevalent over the last couple of days, just how much is wrapped up in childhood. Because I remember when I was, going through whatever I was going through, one of the things that I was asked was, well, what did you enjoy when you were a kid? And at the time, it felt disconnected. It's like, well, what does that have to do with now? And there's just so much wrapped up in it. And as you were saying, and I think about my nephew as I'm saying this, it's you just speak what you feel and what you say, and kids will give you the truth unapologetically. And they're explorers, and it really is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And just imagine, I mean, kids, when they're little, the terrible twos. Why do we say that to them? They're in their terrible twos. Why? That's when they're learning the most. That's when they're exploring the most. That's when they hear no, 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 don't, sit.
Right.
My mom, who passed away at 105 years old, almost 106 years old. She used to say, and for her, thank the good Lord that your children are running around doing everything that they're doing because they're healthy. So her perspective was always looking at things on the bright side.
Yeah.
And because there's always two sides of that coin.
Right.
And you can, and if you flip the coin and it comes up dark side, flip it over.
Yeah.
Just flip it over, because
Yeah.
you're the one that has the perspective. And if you can use the perspective of flipping that over, then you're the one in control of whether or not it hits you hard, whether it hits you at all,
Right.
whatever it is, right?
Right. That's cool.
And kids these days, I think, really take things to heart in a way that it makes it super heavy, and they think that they are the only ones that are responsible for lifting that weight up themselves, and they're not. And so if we can give young kids the ability to say, I have my talents and strengths, but guess what? I also know that in understanding who I am, I can understand how other people are, and I can see where my help is, where I can reach out, who I can reach out to.
Got it.
And be able to say, I'm a really great thinker, but I can't activate. I can't move forward. Can you help me move forward?
Yeah.
Because I can I can come up with a great plan, but I need you to execute the plan.
Yeah.
And if we can teach our young kids to do that, then they're going to be less self-attacking, self-deprecating, like, I can't,
yeah,
I'm not enough, I'm not liked, I'm not, we need to teach them they have their own brilliance within them.
Yeah.
And they're a piece of the puzzle. They don't have to be the whole puzzle.
Yeah. So is there a Clifton test geared for children so we can start building that up?
Yes. Youth, yes. Students. Yeah.
Got it. So what's the youngest that a person can take this
I think
test?
I think they should be I know that there's an elementary school level.
Okay.
But they have to be able to read, they have to be able to comprehend certain basic, education. Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
Elementary school. So yeah, and it's used with athletics teams, it's used with family dynamics, it's used all across the board. And it's really interesting how even in families, you're like, oh, that brother of mine or that sister of mine, and it's like, no, they have their own talents and strengths, and and that's what I had to learn to express in my family, right?
Yeah.
And thankfully I had a group of people who were like, yeah, we always knew you were smart, we always knew you were this, but they didn't express it to me. So I was like, well, why did you ever share that with me so that I could feel good about myself?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't their responsibility. to be,
That's true.
like, oh, you're so good. No, it was my responsibility to stand up and say, I'm here, like you said before, right? I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm just as equal as all of you. I'm a daughter. I'm not, the neighbor kid.
Yeah. I'm not one note.
Yeah, exactly.
So from all your clients and just from your experience, I guess what's the percentage of people not working in their own strengths?
Oh, it's probably at this point in time in history, right? It's
Mhm.
probably still a good 40%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of people because, for example, they've taken the Briars Myers Briggs.
Great. Yeah. Say that 3 times
Got
fast.
it. I got it. Or the disc or the high five or all of those, and they think it's the same thing. But it's just a moment. It's like a picture,
Yeah.
it's not a lifestyle. It's not a grab it and live it.
Gotcha.
And this is grab it, own it, live it, share it, communicate it, and
Yeah.
improve upon it, and really exercise it. And that way, that when somebody says to you, oh, what do you do? And you say, oh, I help people. And what people? Who
Or
are these
how?
people? Right? So
Yeah.
instead of being generic like that, like I help people. Well, no. I don't just help people. I mean, are you a doctor? Are you a
Yeah.
lawyer? Are you what do you mean you help people?
Yeah.
It's like it goes from that kind of a statement to really specific, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you want. That's what that knowledge does for you, to be able to communicate what you actually do. What is your genius in the world? What
Mhm.
is your power?
Yeah.
We hear about that all the time, like, oh, come and, claim your power. Okay, well, doing what?
Yeah. And what does that mean actually? Like, can we make that a little bit more tangible? That just sounds
Yeah,
so abstract.
exactly. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I love the hype. I love because even you have those shiny objects that you're like, oh, that over there, what is that? Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. It's like, let's go do that. I mean, it's just one of those things that you have to say, oh, okay, that's a shiny object that I don't really need to go after,
Yeah.
because I know in my talents and strengths that's something I'd have to be fast at. That's like blackjack. Forget
Yeah.
it. I'm not going over there. No, thank you.
Yes. And then I was just also thinking, I'm like, once you know your strengths, I mean, maybe I'm a little off, don't know. But I'm like, oh, that could also be a good way to set up better boundaries for you just as an individual. So and it won't cause that confusion with other people, where someone may take it as you're being resistant or you're not wanting to be a team player. It's like, well, no, I just know I'm better at this aspect of things, and this is where I kind of like thrive at. And I can see how that really plays into the communication, just not at work, but just day-to-day life. And it's just like, this is
Yes.
just this is my jam, guys. And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just kind of work that.
Exactly. And eventually, as I grew up and as I dealt with other people, as I got married, divorced, kids, all of that, like my children are now telling my grandchildren, oh, Nana doesn't do that. Why? She doesn't like it. But can't she try? No, she doesn't want to. Leave her alone. It's like I don't do certain things that are
Yeah.
like, got to think about it quickly, because
Yeah.
I don't, that's not, I freeze. I literally cannot do it to a certain
Wow.
extent. I literally like, I revert back to that. Can't talk, can't move, can't, like I freeze because it's such an uncomfortable place for me to be,
Gotcha.
that I I can't do it. And
Yeah.
and I have a daughter that she is really good at like board games and all kinds of games and stuff. And she's a fast thinker, and she's good with math, and she'll say certain things, and I'm like, but do you know how amazing you are at this other stuff? What do you mean? And she goes, yeah, but I can't do like what you do. And I'm like, you're not supposed to do what I do. You're supposed to do what you do. So it's like even those reminders of those close to you that they are brilliant in their own right.
Yeah.
How you are right now is brilliant. And all you have to do is believe it, claim it, and then be able to communicate it with confidence. I remember the first time I said, I can see around corners.
Yeah.
That people were like, whatever. Looney Tune, crazy old lady. Not, I can literally see around corners. I can see things coming. I see, abstracts come together, and I can say, oh, okay, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is why it's going to happen, unless we do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. It's just learning who you are, learning what you're good at, and just claiming it and just running to the hills with it. So
absolutely.
when you're not helping people find their strengths, what are you doing just to have a little fun and just relax a little bit? How are you taking care of
vegetate. I vegetate. I totally vegetate. Yeah, I totally vegetate. Like, don't talk to me. I like to be by myself. I don't want to communicate with anybody. I introvert. I go into my own little world because I like to think. I like to research. I like to read. I like to learn. If I have to deal with other people, in terms of like, activities and, things like that, I'm happy to do that. But I literally can, like, my kids complain that I won't spend more than 10 minutes on the phone with them. And it's because I'm a listener. So if they're not talking, there's nothing to say. I'm not a talker. I'm a listener. I'm a listener. So if, I in a relationship, all the relationships that I've been in, the other person is the talker. So I could be on the phone for an hour with that person because they're talking and I'm just listening. But if I have to be the talker, 10 minutes max. I know that I don't feel bad about it anymore because I understand who I am now. Yeah. And I'm like, sorry, that's who I am. I'll talk to you. But like 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, gotta go. Gotta go do what? Gotta go do nothing. Gotta go be by myself. Like, I don't know. What do you mean? I don't feel bad about it anymore.
But that's the beauty in it, not having that guilt. It's just like, no, it's just, and that's okay. Yeah. Sorry. I know you wanted to talk, but I'm kind of talked out, guys.
Yeah, like talk. I'm listening. Go ahead, talk. I will let you talk all day long. I could listen all day long. I'd be happy to listen to you. But I contribute like 50-50 or 60-50. No.
Yeah.
Or 60-40. Not happening. Sorry. And I'm okay with it. I hope you are too,
Yeah. I mean, if they're not, then
they're not. Yeah.
One day, I hope you will. Oh my God.
No, we'll get you there. We're gonna get you there. Don't you worry.
Absolutely. So where can people find you so they can connect with you and you can help them find their own strengths?
Yeah, definitely. A couple of places, I like my last name is Vargas. And so when I used to tell people it's like my email address, right? Mm-hmm. Vargas girl with no vowels. And then I realized that people didn't actually know what a vowel was. So they were like, huh? What?
Seriously?
What does that mean? Yeah, a lot of
people. I'm like, wait, really? But then again, common sense is so common. But
yeah, right. So people first look up vowel, see what it is. And then Vargas girl with no vowels. And then 11, because I'm the 11th,
Yes.
at gmail.com. Reach out to me by email, or you can go to my website, irmavargas.com. Sign up for a newsletter. Check out the blog. It's really fun. Or coaching session. That would be really awesome. Vargas Girl, also Irma Vargas at LinkedIn. Vargas Girl 11 on Instagram. Yeah, let's follow each other. I am a super connector. So if you put it out in the universe that you need something or want something or are looking for something, it'll come into my purview. I'll see it for you and I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
That's just, it's not a psychic. It's not a nothing like that. It's just how the universe works. You know, it's what happens. And so I invite you to get into my inner circle so that if you need something, I can hook you up with it.
Yes. I encourage it too, guys.
Legal.
Yes, we only do legal stuff over in these parts.
Only legal stuff.
I want no parts of anything else. Well, Irma, I want to thank you again for being a part of the community, for jumping on this show. I really enjoy you, your sense of humor, and just like your overall personality. You were great. And I got connected through her from somebody else, guys. So there is very much, there's validity in what she is saying, that whatever you want from the universe, just ask for it and it'll find its way to you, but just be intentional in it. So thank you again for joining us, for sharing your wisdom, your expertise. And I look forward to continue being part of your circle and your network and just seeing what blooms from our relationship. And guys, I will see you again next week for another awesome episode of Just Be You podcast. If no one has told you today, remember that you are worthy, you are strong, and you are enough. And I will catch you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.